everyone, and welcome back to another Spanish lesson.
In the last few weeks, we've published videos on the imperative mood, or simply commands in Spanish. We first published a video on formal commands using usted and ustedes, and then informal to commands. Today, our third video on commands, we're going to talk about nosotros commands.
If you want to learn all the formal, informal command conjugations, the rules, and test yourself against our examples, you can watch our two videos in the description below. We'll leave the links.
Okay, regarding nosotros commands, first let's see how to conjugate them, and then we'll get into tons of examples so that you can start using them today.
Nosotros commands are used to suggest actions that include yourself and others, equivalent to let's in English.
Let's first see how to conjugate nosotros affirmative commands and then negative commands. For regular verbs, to form affirmative nosotros commands, we take the present subjunctive nosotros form of the verb. If you don't know how to conjugate the present subjunctive, we'll leave a link to that video in the description below. But for now, let's assume that you know how to conjugate into the present subjunctive. So we get hablar would be hablemos. Comer, comamos. Vivir, vivamos.
To form the negative nosotros commands, it's the same thing, but we'll place a no before the verb, like hablar, no hablemos. Comer, no comamos. Vivir, no vivamos.
So, nothing hard about that. But if we want to form affirmative nosotros commands with reflexive pronouns or direct or indirect object pronouns, we need some additional rules.
Let's use the verb acostarse. If we want to give the reflexive command, let's lay down, first start with the subjunctive nosotros form of the verb. So acostar would become acostemos. Then we attach pronouns directly to the end of the command, acostemos nos. However, when adding the reflexive nos or the double pronoun se, drop the final S of the verb before attaching them. So, acostémonos. Then we add our accent to maintain the original stress. Acostémonos.
Okay, so that seemed a little bit complicated. So let's do another one using vestirse. If we want to give the reflexive command, let's get dressed, start with the subjunctive nosotros form of the verb. So vestir becomes vistamos. We attach our pronouns directly to the end of the command, so vistamos becomes vistamosnos. However, when we add a reflexive nos or double pronoun se, we need to drop the final S of the verb before attaching them. So we get vistámonos. Then we add our accent to maintain the original stress. Vistámonos. Now, it's much easier when we deal with negative commands. So let's see these two examples in their negative forms. For acostarse, we use the subjunctive nosotros form, acostemos, but then we simply place the pronoun before the verb, nos acostemos, and then add no in front of our pronoun, no nos acostemos. Notice here that because the pronoun comes before and is not attached to the end, we don't need to drop the S or add an accent.
And the same would be for vestirse. Conjugated into the subjunctive nosotros form, vistamos. Then add our pronoun before the verb, nos vistamos. And then add our no in front of the pronoun, no nos vistamos.
And if you're using these commands with both a direct object pronoun and an indirect object pronoun, they work the same way. For the verb comer with a direct object pronoun, like we want to say let's eat pizza, where pizza is the direct object, you'll first conjugate it into the present subjunctive nosotros form, comamos. Then we add our pronoun to the end, comamosla, and then add our accent to maintain the original stress, comamosla.
And negative commands with direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns are also the same. So for comer, if we want to make it negative using a direct object pronoun like let's not eat it, first, we conjugate it into the present subjunctive nosotros form, comamos. Then we add our direct object pronoun before the verb, la comamos. And then we add the no before the direct object pronoun, no la comamos.
Okay, so following our rules on direct object pronoun, What would it be if we said, let's write it?
Escribámosla.
Okay, but what about let's not write it?
No la escribamos.
Okay, what would it be if we wanted to use an indirect object pronoun and say something like, let's tell him the truth?
Digámosle la verdad.
And if we wanted to make it negative and say, let's not tell him the truth?
No le digamos la verdad.
Now, how does this change if we have both an indirect object pronoun and a direct object pronoun together? Like if we wanted to say, let's give it to him. We start with the subjunctive nosotros form of the verb, so we get demos. We attach the pronouns directly to the end of the command, so we get démoselo. But remember, when adding a reflexive nos, or in this case, the double pronoun se, we need to drop the final S of the verb before attaching our pronouns. So we get démoselo. Then we add our accent to maintain the original stress. Démoselo.
If we have a negative command, it just follows the normal pattern. So for let's not give it to him, first start with the subjunctive nosotros form, demos. Add our indirect object pronoun and direct object pronoun before the verb. Remember, indirect object pronouns come first, and when you have double object pronouns where the indirect object pronoun is le or les, it will always change to se. Se lo demos. Then add a no before the pronouns. No se lo demos.
Okay, so following those rules, how would it be if we wanted to say, let's send it to them?
Enviémoselo.
And if we wanted to say, let's not send it to them?
No se lo enviemos.
Okay, one quick side note about Nosotros commands is that there is technically only one irregularity, and that's with the verb ir. Instead of using the expected subjunctive form vayamos, we'll actually just use the regular present tense indicative form vamos. So if we want to say, let's go.
Vamos!
So be careful with that one.
Okay, before we get into all our other examples, we want to thank our supporters and members. Your support helps us create these lessons to improve your Spanish.
Yeah, and if you'd like to become a member, we'll leave all of the links in the description of this video. We have links to Patreon memberships, to YouTube memberships, and Buy Me a Coffee, so it's really easy to sign up and receive exclusive benefits or donate to the channel and help us grow. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, so that you don't miss any more lessons like this to help improve your Spanish. And please share the video so that we can reach more and more students. Thank you so much. Now, finally, let's go over a variety of examples using affirmative and negative commands so that you can really get it down. See if you can answer them all correctly. Okay, number one, if we want the affirmative nosotros command with a direct object pronoun, let's surprise her with a gift.
We need the verb sorprender, so it would be sorprendamos, and we would get sorprendámosla. Sorprendámosla con un regalo.
Now, if we want the affirmative nosotros command with a direct and indirect object for let's send them a message after the meeting,
we need the verb enviar, so it would be enviemos, and we would get enviémoselo. Enviémoselo después de la reunión.
And if we want the negative nosotros command with a reflexive verb for don't put yourself in danger,
we need the verb ponerse, so we would get nos pongamos. No nos pongamos en peligro.
If we want the affirmative nosotros command for let's remember to buy bread,
we need the verb recordar, so we would get recordemos. Recordemos comprar pan.
If we want the negative nosotros command with an indirect and a direct object pronoun for don't give it to them until they ask for it,
we need the verb dar, and it would be demos. So we would get se lo demos. No se lo demos hasta que lo pidan.
Now, if we want the affirmative reflexive nosotros command, let's meet at the library at 5.
We need the verb reunirse, and we would get reunámonos. Reunámonos en la biblioteca a las 5.
And if we have the affirmative nosotros command using an indirect object pronoun, let's help them with their project.
We need the verb ayudar, so it would be ayudemos, and we would get ayudémosles. Ayudémosles con su proyecto.
And that's it. Don't forget to give a like to this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more lessons like this.
And watch this video to keep improving your Spanish.
Until next time.